You know, from the time you're in school, you got pharmaceutical companies sponsoring trainings. And then when you're out, you got to do so many continuing education credits every year to keep your licensing. And then you got medical boards who say, well, this is the only really a standard of care. So if you're not using these drugs and trying these natural things, we really don't like that. I know the body's designed, and I know the better we work with the healing systems of the body, the better the results we'll get. And God has designed the body to be regenerable.
Well, if you're enjoying Table Talk, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to click that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest posts. Well, here's a good question for you. How is our gut health connected to our overall well-being? And can we truly heal our bodies to live free from sickness and disease? Well, today's guest is going to answer those questions and share from his book, The Holistic Guide to Gut Health, which is a huge issue going on right now around the world. But before we get to that, join me around the table. It's April Simons. It's going to be a fun show today.
It's going to be great. I love that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, and I'm so grateful to be healthy, and I always want to say, I heard the saying, if you don't take time for your wellness, you'll have to make time for your sickness. So it's important that we're proactive.
That's good. You have such good one-liners. Okay, Anna Kendall. Is this important to talk about?
Absolutely, and I do
how to take care of our physical bodies?
Yes, and I do think it's amazing so many illnesses come from the gut. So we're going to learn all about that today.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Dorothy Newton, how are you doing over there?
Ooh, this table always gives some good information.
It does. People don't know what we talked about before we came on the air today, so that's why Dorothy's laughing.
Pre-show chat.
We did have a pre-show chat. Rachel Lamb Brown, you had some words to share with us.
Listen, I did, and I wasn't supposed to be on the show, but you grabbed me because you're like, ooh, you need to listen, because I have been on a journey to heal my gut.
Yes.
From years and years of just things that we didn't know and we didn't do correct. And so,
and how you can actually reverse some of those things.
Yeah,
I mean, you really can. Cindy Johnston, here we are. Are you ready to learn about your gut health?
Well, that's kind of personal.
I love your guts. I love your guts.
I love your guts back. I'm ready to learn, and I think there's going to be a lot of insight for us today, and I'm ready to dig in.
Cindy Murdoch, have you got your pen and paper ready over there?
I am so ready. You know, I always want to be proactive.
Yeah.
Because if we've learned that through people in our lives, when they didn't take good care of their guts.
Yeah.
Their guts, that doesn't sound right, did
When
it?
they didn't take care of their guts, this is what happened.
But as we get older, I've heard people say the golden years are not really the golden years because they're all so sick.
Yeah.
And not healthy. And if we don't have our health, we really don't have life.
It's true, it's true. And I love to do shows like this so we can learn something together. And nobody better to do that than best-selling author and award-winning naturopathic medical doctor. Please welcome Dr. Mark Stengler. Welcome.
Hi.
Hello. So glad you're here today.
Great to be here.
Did you hear all our lively discussion
Oh,
before
yes.
you came in? Are you ready? Are you ready for all these women?
I am.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, God designed our bodies to heal themselves, but disease and stress are on the rise. So what's keeping us sick? And is there a cure? Well, Dr. Mark Stengler joins us to reveal how gut health may be the key we need to unlock our healing. This is really a big issue, but it's never too late to start learning how to take good care of ourselves. And of course, you do conventional medicine and holistic, but you really are concentrating on the root cause and dealing with that versus a medication.
treating the symptoms.
To treat the symptoms, yeah.
That's true. And so, for example, God has designed the body to be regenerable. That includes the gut. For example, in your small intestine, we do have stem cells deep in our gut. So our body releases these stem cells when damage is occurring to actually replace the cells of your small intestine, for example. And if you have the right environment, you can replace all your intestinal cells within 3 to 4 days. If your diet's right, your stress is right, your environment's right. So you can heal like you are. But the antibiotics is a big thing because not only does it wipe out the microbiome, which is trillions of bacteria, which should work in synergy in our digestive tract, our immune system and other parts of the body. But you also get the overgrowth of bacteria that should not be there, and yeast or fungal overgrowth, which is very common.
So is it important for us to take a probiotic? I mean, people that don't even have an issue, say, with an antibiotic overuse or whatever.
Well, for patients that are taking antibiotics, I prescribe them probiotics to take during the time of the antibiotic, a couple hours away, and then for a month afterwards, because I know what it does to the gut. We want to prevent problems. The average person in America, yes, has gut problems. They benefit from a good probiotic. But going back a step before that, what's even better is getting in the prebiotic foods, the foods which feed the good bacteria, getting the probiotics in the food, like the yogurt and the sauerkraut and fermented foods. So, but a lot of Americans, we find, won't necessarily do that, so the probiotics are a good option.
So what are some other foods that are really more probiotic and would help our gut?
Well, the classic would be the sauerkraut, the yogurts, and then the fermented soy products, miso, tofu, tempeh, which more Americans have heard about but haven't incorporated into their diet, you know, as examples. But any of the fermented foods.
What about yogurt that has sugar? I mean, almost every good tasting yogurt will have sugar if you look on the label.
Well, that's true, the regular yogurts, but of course you can get the Greek yogurts and yogurts which don't have the added sugar. And I tell people, look, get the yogurt without added sugar, put in a little bit of your fruit in there to sweeten it up. But a lot of my patients, you know, they do not tolerate dairy products. And so fortunately, we have the coconut yogurt, the macadamia nut yogurt, and so there's other alternatives that they can use to get in the good bacteria, not have to deal with the dairy whatsoever.
Can you put a little stevia in there?
Absolutely.
That's what I do, folks.
Yeah. Monk fruit.
What I do.
Yes, I love monk fruit.
What about honey? Can you use honey?
Yes, small amounts of honey. And honey actually is a prebiotic. It feeds the good bacteria in your gut.
Good.
Yeah, and also I always recommend that people buy local honey in their area, because then it will help with like local
allergies
and
Yes,
stuff like that.
that's right. So like a desensitization for pollens in your area.
Okay, so people that are watching, you've heard about the leaky gut. What is that? And what are some of the gut issues that you see all the time in your office?
Well, leaky gut is a real condition. It's in the medical literature. I go through it in the book. But basically what it is, our small intestine, which is the size, the surface area of about 2 tennis courts. You know, you have these little villi that project out, and so by the time you do all that throughout the small intestine, over 20 feet of it, you have about 2 tennis courts, and it's such a critical area of the digestive system because that's where you absorb your nutrients and your foods. And so because of the standard American diet, a poor diet, because of stress, because of antibiotics, because of pain medications, Tylenol, ibuprofen, which damage it, think of it as an analogy between, let's say, I have some saran wrap, and I poke little tiny holes in there. And so as we break our food down in our mouth and our stomach and our small intestine, you break down the smaller particles, and only those smaller particles should absorb through into your bloodstream. With leaky gut, which is so common, you absorb larger than normal molecules, and then what happens, your immune system has an inflammatory reaction localized in the gut, so you can get irritable bowel syndromes, colitis, other problems, but systemic. So now we know, the literature is very clear, when you have a leaky gut, it creates an inflammatory response that can range from the brain, cognitive problems, to your skin problems like eczema, psoriasis, to your muscles and joints, say like rheumatoid arthritis, your immune system, a weak immune system or an autoimmune system, very well studied now. It basically affects everything in the body because the small intestine is the gatekeeper as to what gets into the body.
So can you repair a leaky gut, or somebody who has IBS or some of these other conditions?
Oh, 100%.
How do you do it?
Well, we put patients on a modified Mediterranean diet. By that I mean, healthy, fish like wild salmon, for example, fruits and vegetables. But the diet has a moderate amount of olive oil and good fats, but it does not have gluten. And it does not have dairy products, at least initially, because the research is very, very clear. For a lot of people, gluten found in wheat, rye, and barley causes leaky gut. It damages the lining of the small intestine. And so for a lot of people, they report when they get off gluten for a period of time, their gut problems clear up, their joint problems clear up, their cognitive problems, their skin, and so forth. There's other reasons why people react to gluten, but it is a trigger of leaky gut for sure.
Would you say that eczema is caused from like a gluten intolerance?
Not all, but a lot of cases are. A lot of cases are.
What for kids, small children that have eczema? What can you do?
We actually do very well with that. So we will work with food sensitivities, like being on a wheat or gluten-restricted diet for a period of time, getting in healthier grains. They can get the brown rice and they can get the buckwheat, which is gluten-free.
What about Ezekiel bread?
Well, Ezekiel bread is definitely a much healthier bread than normal, but it has gluten in it.
It does have gluten.
So what's the difference growing up in the 60s? We ate bread, we ate cheese, and
we ate everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we had no issue.
Allergies of being...
Chemicals. The chemicals in our food supply are a major, major problem. Number two, like an example would be glyphosate, Roundup, as an herbicide, pesticide. It's in our food supply. It lasts in the environment for hundreds of years.
Why would we put all of this in our food when they don't do that in Europe?
Very good question.
Is that so we can get on all these drugs that the pharmaceuticals want us to? I mean,
so they can make the crops, more crops sell more.
Well, no, it's that, but it's also the medications that people are on as a result of some of these conditions that the pharmaceuticals are making billions.
Well, with our technology, it shouldn't happen. But yes, the companies who produce these things obviously make billions of dollars, right? And so as you know, in Europe, they have much better restrictions on chemicals in the foods. That's why we need, leaders, administrative officials who are going to take care of this problem, because we're poisoning kids from the time they're born until the time we're seniors. So it's a problem.
But so many doctors are controlled by the pharmaceuticals, and they're afraid.
I think they're indirectly controlled. It's like you said, because, for example, from the time you're in school, you got pharmaceutical companies sponsoring trainings. And then when you're out, you got to do so many continuing education credits every year to keep your licensing. Who sponsors those? And so you get tunnel vision, right? So what's in front of you all the time? And then you got medical boards who say, well, this is only really the standard of care. So if you're not using these drugs and trying these natural things, we really don't like that. So they do kind of put you into a tunnel, so to speak.
So what helped you make the transition from conventional medicine to holistic medicine? Because you are also a conventional doctor, but you really believe in treating people holistically, although you will use conventional medicine at times.
Well, I'm kind of a rarity because since I was young, I was into nutrition and holistic medicine. And no joke, so when I was young and I got I can't remember what it was, but maybe, I can't remember if it was $2 or $5 as an allowance every week for doing my chores, I would go down to the health food store and read and buy like magazines and stuff. So I was kind of odd in that way. And then then I was into athletics, and so I was always like through diet, nutrition, trying to enhance, and supplements. I'd experiment with supplements, enhance my athletics. So innately, God just designed me to be compatible because it makes more sense. I'm a Christian and I'm a creationist, so I believe God designed the world, that includes humans, and so I know from my training, whether it be my master's in human biology to my medical degree, I know the body's designed, and I know the better we work with the healing systems of the body, the better the results we'll get and the less side effects, versus drugs, while they have their place and I use them when we need to, they usually work counter to the healing systems of the body, so they should be a temporary stopgap, not a long-term solution.
Yeah, what is it your friend, won't say her name, has?
Crohn's disease.
Crohn's disease. What exactly can you do, or can you do anything holistically?
Oh yeah,
we've
treated people like that for over the 29 years of practice. So that's an inflammatory bowel disease. So the same thing. We are working at treating the triggers as to why they have the Crohn's disease. In medicine and science, we have what's called the law of causality, which basically means cause and effect. So Crohn's disease just doesn't magically just appear for no reason. There are triggers for it, such as, again, the diet, foods that they're reacting to, chemicals that we're reacting to. Their immune system is hyper-reactive, creating too much inflammation, so we need to calm that down naturally. There's many ways to do that through diet, supplements like high omega-3 fatty acids, different nutrients. So those people, usually they come in, they're on medication. What we do, we leave them on the medication initially, work on their diet, give them things which heal the gut, things like the amino acid glutamine, things like zinc, vitamin A, quercetin, aloe vera, and DGL extracts. These things heal up the lining of the gut from the mouth all the way through.
So should they take quercetin every day?
We do use it as a natural anti-inflammatory.
I know that was used during the time of COVID as well.
Well, it's a great natural anti-inflammatory, including studies have shown it heals up leaky gut. It helps to heal up leaky gut, and I talk about in the book. So they're on medications. We improve their diet, get them on things which heal up the lining of the gut, and then over time, we decrease their medications and make sure they're doing well. and we track them using modern medicine. So there's a marker called calprotectin, which measures the inflammation in the gut through a stool test, and we can tell exactly what's going on.
And what have you seen happen with someone that came in with, say, Crohn's disease?
Well, we get a mixture. We got people who totally over time don't need any medication, and it's been 10 years and they have no medication. Other people, they need less medication, and their quality of life is better with what we do. So, it's a variety of results.
But would you say that in everything you're talking about, diet is essential?
Absolutely. If you don't address the diet, can we get people better with just supplements and things like that? Yes. But the diet is, is at least 50% of helping somebody.
And my friend is in remission, but she's a very strict diet.
Yeah.
Like
She's
she can't have cheese, she can't have gluten, dairy, any of that.
Yeah, she can't have dairy, but she makes all these, well, she does a lot of paleo recipes. And she made this cookie, chocolate chip cookie with almond flour. That was so good, and it had no dairy, and it was delicious.
You need to make me some more of those.
Yeah, I know. I just.
She literally made them like the first day back.
Yeah.
My friend texted me, "Oh my gosh, your
We
mom
don't
has
eat
already
sugar.
made the cookies again."
Yeah, we don't eat sugar, and all it's got is a quarter cup of maple syrup.
Yeah.
In the whole thing.
Well, inflammatory bowel disease, what you'll see generally for most people is, yes, they react to carbohydrates. And that's why, there's the carbohydrate-specific diet, which is shown in studies to help people greatly with Crohn's disease. And their paleo diet is somewhat similar to that, of course.
What do you think about the carnivore diet? Because a lot of people that have autoimmune diseases, I don't know, because they say that it helps with inflammation.
Well, the evolution is probably thinking cavemen just eating meat all day long. But here's the thing. I could see it being used as a short-term diet.
Short-term.
With inflammatory, and I've read the research, they've done studies, and they found with that diet, with the type of fatty acids from metabolizing the meat, they are the type of fats that actually do not promote gut health. So it leads to poor gut health over time. So short-term, no problem, as with any diet that's more radical. But long-term, yeah, you're not going to have a healthy microbiome. They've done the studies. The microbiome gets dysregulated. And of course, the microbiome affects everything, the immune system, your brain, your heart, everything. So long-term, it's not good.
Well, it makes sense to me. The Mediterranean diet is what Jesus would have eaten, right?
Yes.
And if you look at Levitical law, even though we don't live under the law, it was given kind of what was healthy for people, right?
Yeah.
To eat. And the things that God created and things with color, those would be healthy things to eat, right?
Yes.
And so the things to stay away from, are no-nos, like white sugar, white flour,
Artificial food diets,
pasta, hydrogenated oils,
Yes.
seed oils.
like Crisco, and that's really,
Crisco?
really bad. My mother used to make a pound cake and put tons of Crisco in there.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't know, and now she does butter, real butter. But why are those things so
Grass-fed.
bad? All the things that I just said.
It's a really simple answer, because our body wasn't designed to use those. Our body was not designed to have those things, at least on a regular basis in the body.
so
So
what
we're working
happens-
against the design of the body.
Okay, I know I'm asking all the questions because I love these kind of shows.
I can see you coming out with a cookbook in the near future.
I know.
There we go.
So I'll start over here.
Girl.
Anna, I know you've got a question.
Well, I had a doctor tell me that the gut was the second brain. So what does that mean?
Well, it's true. As a matter of fact, you may say it's the first brain, because we now know, and I talk about in the book, we produce more neurotransmitters. This term refers to the brain chemicals like
Right.
serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine and all that. We produce more of that in the gut than we do in the brain. And this controls your mood, also affects your digestion, controls your immune system. Also, people are interested to find out you produce more melatonin, the so-called sleep hormone, in the gut than you do in your brain as well.
Okay.
So when you got problems in the gut, you can see how it can affect. And many studies now showing anxiety, depression, cognitive problems are related directly to the gut. We have what's called the gut-brain axis. Very well studied. So there's axis between the brain and the gut. So it goes both ways. So our thoughts and so forth can affect our gut directly. But if your microbiome is imbalanced, the bacteria in the gut, or if you got leaky gut, it also affects the brain.
I have a dear endocrinologist that treated me for years just for healthy reasons in balancing my hormones, bioidentical hormones. And she used to tell me, Joni, hormones are so important. They will affect every organ of your body. So how important is it, because you know there's a lot, especially women watching, and even men, because of food and diet, that their hormones are a mess. How important is it to make sure our hormones are balanced?
Oh, I mean, it's one of the most common things we see in our patients. So we get women, you know, between ages of 40 and 65. Hormone balance in America is a huge problem. But yes, when you start looking at like the high carbohydrate diets, that indirectly affects your hormone balance. The pesticides in our foods, the hormones and the dairy products and the meats and stuff, these, you know, act as hormones in the body. And so women in America really have a huge problem with what we call estrogen dominance. The estrogen level is too high relative to the progesterone. We have all these xenoestrogens from the environment.
Those are the bad estrogens.
The bad estrogens.
There's a good estrogen that God put on the inside of us.
Oh, estrogen, and in men too.
Yeah.
Real men.
Right.
So, because estrogen is a very powerful antioxidant.
Right.
And it's anti-inflammatory. It affects circulation. It affects your brain chemicals.
Now, I was going to say, I know because my doctor now is talking about you have to have the right kind of estrogen because for your brain at your age, this is vital. And you've got Alzheimer's, dementia, and you've got women 65, 70, 75, they have zero estrogen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we use a lot of bioidentical estrogen replacement with progesterone with women. But here's the connection to the gut. See, when estrogen is made in the body, or if you take it, even the good stuff, the bioidentical, which is really the only type you should be using, it does get broken, goes in your bloodstream, goes through your liver, and then metabolites are formed in the liver, go into the digestive tract, through the bile into the digestive tract. Now, if you have problems with constipation, or if you have a microbiome imbalance, you are not going to eliminate the bad estrogen metabolites. And these are the things that are more associated with breast cancer, for example, these bad estrogen metabolites, because like you said, the main estrogens are actually protective in many ways for the brain and the heart and the bones and all that, but these bad metabolites through poor digestion and elimination, detoxification, that creates this estrogen dominance. So when patients come in and they say, hey, you know, my doctor said, no, my bowel movement every 3 to 5 days is completely normal. I'm like, well, yeah, you're not going to die, but you're not going to have good health.
You should have a bowel movement daily?
Well, in other cultures, most cultures around the world which have a high fiber diet, you know, they have 3 a day, studies show. So in America...
Kind of like a newborn. Like every time they eat, they would, you know.
Yeah.
So in America, hey, if you're having one, we're doing much better than average. So
really,
at least 1 a day complete, but 1 to 3 would be what would be healthy.
So lack of estrogen can cause that?
Well, you know, interesting enough, estrogen, progesterone, thyroid, these actually do influence your gut. I mean, there are women, and we've seen this in studies, for example, you put women on hormone replacement, all of a sudden, oh, their constipation improves, you know, if they got hormone deficiency. So a lot of these things are interrelated, you know,
Yeah,
they're interrelated.
I know for you, not really being on the bioidentical hormones that you should have been on. I know you don't mind me sharing this, but having a hysterectomy at a young age and then not being followed up with the right hormones affected you. And when you got those balanced out, what a difference did it make for you?
It changed my whole life because I, like brain fog, depression. I'd had depression from like 30 on, and I don't have to take any medication for that.
Well, we know that you have receptors in your brain for estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid. So if you have deficiencies, you're going to have problems, you know, in the brain. But we now know in medicine that most chronic diseases have a problem right at the cellular level and the way you're producing energy. And so basically what happens, all these signals get released, you're not producing energy properly. Not only do you have fatigue, but it leads to inflammation and improper communication around the body. And so it is a big thing in medicine right now. So by getting a proper diet, nutrients that your cells use to produce energy, like CoQ10, the B vitamins, things like that, the mitochondria will work better.
Wow. So a couple of things I know for me that made a huge difference, especially later in life, is exercise, sunshine, and no sugar. People ask, what did you do? You know, those are like the 3 main things. Is that important? The things I just talked about?
Oh, yeah, those would definitely be foundational. And of course, we got studies just even this past year. I mean, the effects on the immune system when you get natural sunlight hitting your skin. I mean, there's hospitals now redesigning their hospitals for people with acute infections and all that, so that they're getting the direct sunlight because they have the studies now where they recover much faster than just keeping them hidden indoors all day long.
I know when they're in that closed-in room with all that all those machines hooked up and all that EMF and, you know, those frequencies and a dark room, that can be the healthiest place to recover.
Well, it's true. Also, we know this. I mean, remember, your eyes are an extension of your brain when we form in the womb. And so when your eyes come in contact with natural sunlight, it has chemical effects on your brain and your immune system, which basically supercharge your immune system. So, yes, all the basics are important.
I have some problems with my skin, and I'm told not to get in the sun, so it's just indirect sunlight is good, or does it need to be on the skin?
Thank you for asking that. Well, actually, recent studies just came out, and now the dermatologists are admitting that was a mistake. And here's why. Because we know that sunlight has such pronounced effects on the immune system. As we know, sunlight gets converted in our skin to start, you know, forming vitamin D, which is protective effects against autoimmune, cancer, infections, and all that. They're starting to admit now they've made a mistake, making people paranoid about skin cancer. Now, just using good common sense. So let's say you've, you know, had a cancer here or here. Yes, cover that up with sunscreen, but you should get at least 10 minutes of direct sunlight on some body part for a healthy, functioning body. So they actually are starting to admit that general recommendation is turning out to be a mistake.
That's what I do, but I don't use any sunscreen when I just go out for like 10 or 15 minutes.
Hey, look, our body was designed to get sunlight. Now, some people genetically need more than others, like African Americans in the United States. If they're in an area or in Canada where they don't get enough sunlight, I mean, they're at higher risk for like prostate cancer and breast and other health problems because they need more sun exposure.
We could go on and on. We've got so many questions. Will you come back and we can do another show on another subject? What is the name of your book on the leaky gut?
The Holistic Guide to Gut Health.
The Holistic Guide to Gut Health. Good book. You need to get it. You gave us a couple of recipes. We're going to put these on the website. One is, these are good for leaky gut, salmon salad with avocado and hearts of palm. It's just a cooked salmon, avocado, quinoa, cherry tomatoes, kale leaves, extra virgin olive oil, balsamic vinegar, salt and pepper, toss it all together. That's good. Chicken lettuce tacos, that sounds good, Rachel.
Delicious.
Chicken breast, avocado, red bell pepper, romaine lettuce, organic salsa, and another half cup cooked quinoa, and the green smoothie bowl.
Okay.
That works.
It takes 10 minutes to make. Frozen bananas, 4 cups of baby spinach, cold water, ice cubes, kiwis peeled and chopped, unsweetened coconut flakes, slivered almonds, and hemp seeds, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds. It is a day by day. I mean, it's not an overnight transformation, but day by day, as you make healthier choices, your body is going to respond in a positive way. Well, if you're watching today and you need prayer for healing or just encouragement, or maybe you haven't asked Jesus to come into your heart and forgive you, that's the most important decision you can make. And I tell you, it's just very simple. Just say, Jesus, I need you. Come into my heart today. Forgive me and be Lord of my life. And I'm telling you, everything will change. There's nothing more important than receiving the Lord Jesus Christ today. And that's why that number's on the screen. If you'd like for us to pray with you, encourage you, if you prayed that prayer, I'd love to send you the book of John. It's the Gospel of John. It's just a great place to start in the Bible. And that's absolutely free. But again, if you need prayer and you just say, I just want someone to agree with me in prayer, that I can start making some healthy choices. I want to be healthier because I want to fulfill my destiny on the earth for as long as I'm here, and I can do that better when I'm healthy. So call that number. We'd love to pray with you. I want to thank Dr. Mark for joining us today. Be sure to get a copy of his book, Holistic Guide to Gut Health. And for more information, you can visit him online at drstengler.com. As always, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. You can leave us a comment. Let us know how Table Talk is touching your life. We love hearing from you, and you'll want to make sure you subscribe to the Joni Table Talk podcast. It's available right now across all top podcast apps. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Dr. Stengler.
Thank you.
Ladies, you wanted to come back?
Yes.
Okay, it's a big yes, so we'll see you again. God bless you. So glad you got to watch today, and I hope this program helped you today. We love you. Bye-bye for today.